Boys is my mom was student. Yes, Isaac. I am by. You said, yeah. I started. No, see your movie. No, lecture. Once class. Second to you.
Okay, so we want to begin with our class. Today we're looking at queuing models, okay, which is just a minute. Okay. Yeah, so like I said, we're looking at queuing theory or queuing models, and we are not just doing modeling, but we're also going to do some simulation, analog simulations, and if possible, we also do some simulations using computer softwares. Probably next week or after I finish introducing the concept of statistical softwares, then we'll come back and then simulate a few of these models that we're going to look at in class today and next week. Okay. Yeah, so our topic for today is queuing models. I guess we should have more than 5 in class, but let's take off. Very good. So our goals for today is to understand what queuing models are and how to apply them. Okay, and also understand how to describe a queue model. Okay, and then possibly we can also look at some different types of queue models. But that is a part 2. If we have enough time, we can look at that. That will be single queues, multiple queues, and multiple servers, and how to analyze them. Okay, equations governing the various queues. And I'm sure you all got my post earlier. In this topic, we'll be seeing so many formulas. For example, we have several types of queues. So under every queue, you want to look at the formulas which can be used to evaluate the system performance, okay? So when you get to probably an MM1 queue. You want to have the formulas used to find the length of the queue, the waiting time of the queue, the response time in that system, the number of people waiting in the queue and all that for just that system. Then if you move to another system, the formulas change slightly different. So we have a number of equations. That's why I asked you to take note of some particular equations. In the lesson note, 2.2.1. Yeah. Yes.
Yeah, I beg. I am late. I am late for the registration of Google class. How best can you help me? I said I am late for Google class.
Don't worry. Join the Zoom class for today.
Okay.
Join Zoom.
Okay.
Yes.
You said
you're already here, so don't worry. We are using Zoom today. Okay, Isaac.
Yes.
Yeah, I was the 2.2.1 I have is not on this particular lecture.
Isaac, your voice should go up a bit.
I'm saying the 2.2.1 that I have.
Yes.
The one you posted from the group. Mine is on continuous Markov chains, but this is for Q&A. So that was what I
realized. Oh, the unit learning resource.
Yes.
Oh, okay.
2.2.3. The one you've said now.
Yes, this one is 2. This is the lesson note. Lesson note 2.2.3. But I also posted ULR 2.2.1. That was on what? It was on Markov, eh?
Yes,
okay. Okay, then maybe today's class we may have to limit ourselves because the formulas change slightly. So I wanted us to use one document with a standard notation throughout our class. So I'll repost that material, then we'll look at it strategically next week. So maybe today we'll limit ourselves to the type of cues and then what to look out for. Then in the next class, we'll look at the notations properly. So maybe the notations we'll look at in class today, we'll try and link them up with the formulas in the unit learning resource. So we don't get confused. The formulas are many, so we need to link them up properly, else we can easily get confused. Okay, so like I was saying, so we need to understand the various type of cues too, which we'll do next week. So in this outline, we're actually going to take key aspects. Queuing models is a whole subject on its own for a number of semesters those days. So we're going to take some aspects which are very relevant to understanding the component. So it is in the outline we are looking at what queuing models, their definitions, look at the Little's law, queuing system notations, and then how to read the QNAP's notations as stational analysis of elementary queuing systems. Okay, so what is a queue? Now, from day to day, we always meet queues, okay? Even yesterday, I met a queue on my way from AIT. I tried walking to GCB Bank, and by the time I realized there was a long queue, it was a long queue because of social distances. The system could only accommodate some number of customers. Beyond that finite number of customers, no other customer is allowed to join the system. Okay, at the same time too, they didn't want anybody to leave. So you have to stand outside. But the moment you decide to leave, they will call you into the system. Okay, so that is what we're looking at. Queuing are very important models in real life system, aside the Markov modeling technique. In fact, as a matter of fact, even Markov modeling techniques also come to bear in QE models. We will see them very soon. So QE models from day to day, we always come across queues, climbing buses, moving to the banks, okay, how you are served at the bank, you go to any company. Now we even have systems where before you enter into the system, you have to click on a device which will give you the average waiting time, the service time, and the number of people in the queue before you even join the queue. It will give you a queue number. And they are very important. The same way, the way computers process information, before information gets into the arithmetic logic units, moving into the processor and all that, there are queues of information, okay? Just that they happen so quickly. But when the queue is very long, sometimes you can experience freezing on your computer. So even the computer's memory, how it processes documents, are also based on queues, networking, traffic situations on the ground. From day to day, we find so many traffic on the road. And one application of queuing models is to model traffic systems. We can easily redesign our road systems or redesign the traffic light systems on our roads to do away with what? Traffic based on queuing models. So we have a lot of very wide range of application for queuing systems. But first, we need to understand the various components. Let me find out from you. I know along the line, you may have done something on queuing models, either with Mr. Vivo or with Madam Fatih Tahiro. Course Rep, Isaac.
Yeah.
Yes, have you done queuing models already?
Yes, we did some with Mr. Datu.
Okay, so you yeah. So you are conversant with the formulas we have, not so?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. The service rate, this kind of stuff. Yeah.
Okay.
The average waiting time and then this.
Okay. So then what I'm going to do is I'll reposition my course to the simulation aspect. Then we see how to simulate more. Probably that is what we're going to do, because once you've done it as a course, we don't have to do it again at level 400. But let me just quickly brush through, and we'll refocus our attention in the next class. Yeah, so like we know, queues, okay, basically are characterized by queuing systems are characterized by arrivals, as you're seeing here. Okay, we have arrivals, we have queues, we have the number of systems, okay, and then between the queue, the service time, okay, the time it takes for you to join, to be in service, and for you to be served, okay, and then the total time in the system, right, the total waiting time in a queue, and etc., departures and all that, okay, in the queue. So what we are saying is okay. So what we are saying here is we use QE models to describe the behavior of QE system, evaluate the system performance. Okay, how effective is this system in terms of its utilization? We could have a system which could have performed better, but because of the nature of the queue, how queues are being arranged, or the way people are moving from one place to the other, and the system's performance becomes low. Okay, good. So we can easily evaluate that by just running some simulations of the system and help to resolve the issues. It says a queue is characterized by what? The buffers, okay, with finite and infinite size, okay. Yeah, we are talking about capacities of the systems, how much, capacity the system can take, okay. So it says the state of the system is described by what? The queue size. We have servers. Okay, servers basically help in processing documents or processing arrivals in the queue. And then we also have events, which are arrivals, okay, like birth, like death, with their own arrival rates. Okay. Then these are some few definitions from people. It says, Bowles says that the basic phenomenon of queuing arises whenever a shared facility needs to be accessed for a service by a large number of customers or jobs. So queuing arises anytime a facility needs to be shared by a number of customers or a number of jobs. Okay. Then Walls also talks about what the primary tool for studying these problems of congestion is known as what? Queuing theory. So queuing theory helps us to analyze or to study these problems. Ken Rock talks about, we study the phenomenon of standing, waiting, and serving. And we call this queuing what? Theory, okay? Any system in which arrivals place demand upon a finite capacity of resource may be termed as queuing what? System. I think it's saying the same thing Boss is saying. Maxwell also say the study of waiting times, length, and other properties of queues form what? Queuing what? Theory. Okay. Now we go on to applications of the queuing theory. Like I said earlier, we can use them to arrange health services, okay, to control the number of hospital bed assignments, okay, predict computer performance, okay, computer networks, telecommunications, airport traffic, airline ticketing, transportation systems, layout of manufacturing systems, okay, banking, so many applications, okay. So it says, example, in many stores and banks, we find multiple line, multiple checkout systems. A QE system where customers wait for the next available cashier. We can prove using queuing theory that throughput, okay, improves or increases when queues are used instead of separate lines. Okay. So we've seen this before. Here we have a single queue. We have multiple servers. We can also have multiple queues, multiple servers. Then we also have, it says, queuing theory for studying networks. View networks as a collection of queues, where we have first in, first out data structures. We have queuing theory provides probabilistic analysis of these queues, okay? So we can always find the properties of a queue based on the probabilities. So we can have the average length, average waiting time, probability of the queue at a certain length, probability of a packet which will be lost in the system. Okay, and then this a basic queue simulator. As part of the course, I want to see if we can use MATLAB also to run some simulations and analyze the simulation output. Okay, good. So later on in the course, we'll be doing something like that. And I'll also give you an assignment to go and simulate the system. Okay. Then this is one very important law in queuing models. Little says that the long-term average number of customers in a stable system. When we say a stable system, we mean the system, the long-run system. Just like in the Markov chain, the long-run probability of the event. Here too, once the system keeps going on over and over, then the long-term average number of customers in the stable system is equal to the long-term average arrival lambda multiplied by the long-term average time customer spends in the system. Okay, good. So in simple terms, I think that formula is stated here. So the expected number of customers in the system is equals to lambda times the expected time in the entire system. So if you want the number of customers in the long run in any system, it's just equal to the arrival rate times the time. Okay, so how many people are arriving and how long have they been in the system? Let's say if somebody is arriving, people are arriving maybe one person per every minute. 1 person per every minute. And I ask you to find how many people are in the system after 30 minutes. On the average, we expect that there will be 30 people. Why? Because per every minute, the average arrival or the arrival, expected arrival is what? Is 1, okay? So then we also expect that there will be, on the average, 30 people in the system. That is what Little's law is talking about. Now, you take note of the notation very well, because over time, we'll be changing some of the notations. Usually, instead of ET, subsequent notations will be ES, and then ES also will eventually change into some W's and all that. Then the expected number of customers in the queue. We'll also find in the notes you have ER and all that. Okay, but what I'll do before the next class is I think I'll have to streamline all the formulas. It's difficult, retyping this formula, but I have to streamline everything so that we have consistent formulas in the slide for you before we start the calculation. Now, when we come here, okay, this gives us attributes of the queue, okay? So when we come here, this is the queuing time. Once you enter and there is a customer already in service, then you have to join the queue. But if you enter and there is no customer in the queue, in service, or even in the queue, then you just go straight to service. It means you don't join the queue. But if there is a customer in service, then you need to join the queue. And once you join the queue, okay, then the queuing time is always calculated from the time you entered to the time you're going to be served, okay? Then we also what we call the service time. The service time is when you're called upon for service, so you move to the teller. How long it's going to take for the teller to serve you is what we refer to as what? The service time, okay? Now the total response time, let's say if you're in the bank, how long is it going to take for you to walk out of the bank? Based on this response time, somebody can choose to walk out of the bank or not to even come into the bank again, okay? Or come back another day into the system. Why? Because of the number of people in the queue, okay? Very good. So we can have a queue, we have the server, we have the queuing time, we have the queuing service. Then of course, we can also try to measure the length of the queue at any given point in time, and also try to observe what is happening with the service. Sometimes some servers, when you get to the bank, some of them are extremely slow. Other people will go doing certain things or talking on the phone and all that. So you need to investigate what is happening within the service time. Okay. Yeah, I believe we all have this formula down. Yes.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Yeah, so no. Let's skip this. I think we've talked about the Little's theorem already. Yeah, so in specifying queuing system, okay, here we are talking about the characteristics of the queuing system. Like we said, we have the arrival process, okay, we know what it is, the service process, the number of servers we need to know how many servers are available when modeling and simulating. Arrival and departure, okay, whether somebody has arrived, whether somebody has departed, and then how are they arriving? Are they arriving using stochastic models, okay, based on Markov modeling or egg-lang or any kind of distribution, or they are just arriving randomly or general? You need to know it before you run a simulation. Then we also need to know the structural parameters like the storage capacity, okay? How many people can be in the queue within the bank? How many people can the bank tolerate? Sometimes the bank is too full. You cannot accept any other arrival. Then it says number of servers, okay? How many servers are in there to assist? Then operating policies. We have what? Yes. So customer class differentiations. Okay, are all customers treated the same, or do some have priority over? That is the queuing discipline. Okay. So over here we can talk about either a first in, first out, or you talk about last in, first out. Like in the case of using a lift. Okay. Then sometimes too you can have priorities given to other events, okay? In fact, even on your computer, sometimes that happens because in a case where you have you're trying to conserve your power, okay, and then you put it on the low power, the computer automatically selects some operations which should run, and other operations which can wait. And in the hospitals, it's the same. Yeah, even in this COVID situation, you can imagine somebody in government or in power come to the hospital and any other person comes. Priority will surely be given to the person who is already in the front line. So we need to know all of this before you can model the real life system. There is a scheduling, how customers be served, how are they moving to be served. And we also have admission policies. I think we understand that. Then the next one is the Kendall's notation, which, like you've mentioned, you've seen this before. So we have the A, which is the arrival distribution. Okay, we'll be looking at it shortly. So how do arrivals occur? And then how is service also done? Then over here we have the number of servers available. Okay, for the third column. Okay, then over here we have the storage capacity. Then this is the storage capacity. Okay, then we talk about the size of the population. Okay, whether we can have a finite or infinite size. Then the service discipline. Okay, are we talking about priorities, or we are talking about FIFO, or we are talking about LIFO? Okay. Okay, I think it's the same explanation here. Okay, so A, like we said, can occur based on Markovian or Markov properties. If we're talking about Markov properties, then it means that we are talking about Poisson arrival rates, okay? Well, in the Markov property, I told you before you work in a Markov property, you need to define a clearly defined interval. So if it's a 7-day step, it goes 7 days. And arrival occur within those intervals. So which is a property of the Poisson distribution. So if we're talking about a Markov arrival process, then obviously that system is governed by what? A Poisson distribution, okay, which will also have the properties of the Poisson distribution, okay? So for example, if we talk about the expectation, which is the average, will also have the same expectation as the expectation for the Poisson process. Take note of that. Then we also have deterministic manner. Maybe there is a specified function which governs the way people should enter into the bank, probably, or enter into the system. Maybe one person enters in at a particular time. It is specified. It is specified. Or we can have the elang distribution, or a general this, which can also follow any type of randomness. So it can just happen on random basis. That is where we can run a lot of simulations, any simulation. So if this occurs and this occurs, what is going to be the result of the system, just based on randomness. Then we can also have service process, which will also follow the same, either Markovian. If Markovian, this time around service, we said the time for a Poisson process is going to be an exponential distribution. So if it's Markovian, then we are talking about exponential process, which means that the properties will also follow the exponential process. Okay, like the mean, the variance will all follow exponential process. Okay, so variance for exponential process, we know is 1 over lambda squared. Okay, or depending on how you write it, it could also be lambda squared. Okay, then equally, we can also have a deterministic, service process. So it's determined, it's predetermined that once a customer enters into service, then maybe after 1 second, the customer is served. Okay, so every server have to serve the customer after 1 second, your service is done. That is a deterministic approach. But when we talk about Markovian, then we are talking about a probabilistic approach. So we are not sure. We are not sure whether this person is going to finish in this time or that time. You can't know it, even though you've been given a rate, that unexpected rate. I also have we can have general. General, we can have randomness also in there. Then number of servers, like I say, we can have 1, 2, 3, and so on. Capacity 2, we can have 1, 2, 3, okay? But whenever K is not stated, we are talking about what? An infinite what? Capacity. During discipline, we know them first in, first out. Once you walk to the bank, we expect that the first person who walks to the bank will be the first person who comes out. But it's normally not so. It also depends on what the person is coming to do in the bank, right? If he's coming to deposit large billions of dollars at the bank, it's not going to be a first in, first out scenario, okay? Because the money you are taking, they need that money to pay you at the bank. So priority will be given to that individual. Okay, then we also have a number of customers, okay? That too, I think we understand. Let's move on. I think I've touched on this already. Markov implying exponential distribution for service times or inter-arrival times, and D is deterministic fixed constant elang with parameter. Then you can read more on the elang distribution, okay, on Wikipedia, what you have here. Then we also have the hyper exponential distribution. And then general. General can be anything, like I said, any random distribution. Okay, so when it comes to the representation of the Kendall notation, okay, we'll just take a few. So for example, if you have MM1, MM1, okay, so like we said, the first one here, A is supposed to be what? Arrival. B is supposed to be service. Then the third one, 3 here, M is supposed to be the number of service, okay? So if you have M here, then we are talking about the Markov arrival. You have the next one, we are talking about a Markovian what? Exponential service, okay? So it says Poisson arrivals. Because it's Markov, it's governed by a Poisson process. So Poisson arrivals are that's exponential inter-arrival and exponential service time. Markov always, the time for a Markov process always follows what? An exponential distribution. Good. Then over here we have one server. The number of servers. So we have just one server. And of course, because the rest have not been stated, then we are talking about the system having infinite capacity and population, okay? And we assume that it is what? A first in, first out scenario, which is the simplest realistic what? Queue. Okay. Then we could also have MMM here, same process, M arrival server, and then M here is the number of what? Servers. Then we can also have MD. MD here is M is arrival, D is service, meaning deterministic. So in the case where servers, maybe we know or it's been determined that anybody who gets into service will finish after 2 seconds. That's deterministic. So it is a constant. So it says Poisson arrivals and constant what? Service times. Okay, one server, infinite capacity and population. FIFO. Okay, then we can also have GNG 320. So general arrivals, we have general service times, we have 3 servers, we have that is 3 servers, we have 20 capacity. We are talking about 1,500 total jobs, and then the shortest packet first distribution. Okay, then we have the performance measures. Okay, so we are always interested in the steady state behavior of the system. Okay, so like we said,